A1. I gotta say, the way you executed that final minute and a half to 2 minutes of the episode, I have to say that that was probably one of the best scenes I have seen from this season of anime. Just that alone, that scene with the suspense, with the tension building up and setting up the atmosphere, I don't think that could have been done any better. The only thing I could see where some might complain about that scene is why didn't the guards stop her from rolling on the P1? Why did no one jump and stop her? So I want to talk about that real quick before I get into anything else for this episode of The Perfect Insider. So the question you're probably wondering, why did no one try to stop her while she strolled on this P1 right between them and she went into the hallway? Like, why did they have to restart the system? Restart the system now! You know, emergency restart. Why did they have to do that? Like, why couldn't they have just jumped her and stopped her? Well, here's the big thing you need to actually realize. She is a known murderer. Everybody realizes that she's murdered someone in the past. She's being blamed for a murder, and that's kind of the reason why she's, you know, has these guards around her, the way they kind of handle her conversations with people in the outside world. You know how, like, for the past 15 years, she's been, like, locked up in this one room, and then she barely has any human interactions at all, or actually none, next to none, and then also all of her conversations she has with someone on the outside world is being monitored and recorded, so there's no privacy for her at all. So if you factor in all these different things, and you think about they might be a psychopath, they could be crazy, that they're a murderer, of course nobody's going to jump a girl that looks fucking creepy, like, has a wedding dress on, looks creepy as shit, and the lights are flickering, so you can't even tell if she's holding a weapon in her hands or not, because let's consider the way she was sitting on top of that P1. You can't really see her hands. You don't know what her hands, or where her hands are, so you don't know if she is holding a weapon, if she's holding some form of sharp object. You never know, so you can't just jump someone that's been known to probably kill someone and hasn't had really any physical human interaction in like 15 years, and you can't just expect to jump them, because they could possibly act out violently towards you and kill you. So that's kind of why I think the guards or anyone didn't really try to just stand up and go against her, because they didn't have nothing to defend themselves with. And they're not really cops as well. I mean, you think about it, they're just guards, and so they're not really well-armed guards that you would see in the police or, you know, military. So yeah, these night shift guards are not that well equipped to probably deal with something if there's someone that's just straight up mentally insane. There is a lot of foreshadowing, or I guess theory crafting I can do about this girl now, this crazy, insane girl, the doctor. I think her name is Magata or whatever. The girl that this entire series is starting to revolve around, there is a lot of dialogue that is implying that she is not human. She is a doll. Now let me explain what I mean about this. As in doll, there's dialogue in this episode that implies that she is an AI. Some form of AI. Because let's take a moment to factor in some of the things we saw in this episode of The Perfect Insider. We saw an AI talking over the intercom. We saw how the doors were working and how this technology was way past some of the things we see nowadays. This technology was highly advanced. And seeing the way it was done with the AI to the P1s, it would make a lot of sense if this girl was an AI. And let me explain why I say she might be one. Because there was a line that was said that she is the main system. Like, she is the main system, isn't she? And that kind of implies that she's like the main system of an AI or this entire organization. For instance, she keeps everything running. And with the restart the system line, like, restart the system, what do you think would happen if she was an AI? Let's say she was an artificial intelligence, she had her own thinking process, she was able to do what she wanted, but she was locked down by restrictions and tied up, kind of chained down as an AI, and you had it to where restarting the system, she might be able to manipulate something to where she could kind of escape and use her own free will. What if something like that is what is going down here right now? With restart the system line, I've seen enough movies, I've seen way too many fucking movies to know restarting the system is a bad fucking move. That is a really bad move. When that happens, shit's going down, especially if there's some form of AI around. Like, we have an AI over the intercom. So, there is a possibility that she might be an AI. Let's take a few moments to really look at the animation that A1 Pictures is doing with this episode of The Perfect Insider. Go to the middle part of the episode. Let's say go to the scene when they got in, they were taking the medicine, you know, when Moe was getting the medicine, and you saw the P1 come in. Go to that scene. Now that you're there, if you watch it, look at the hand movements, the body movements, and the way the characters move in those scenes. Usually people are reading subtitles, they're not really paying attention to the entire screen, but if you look closely, if you see the characters, like, you'll see characters moving their hands around as, like, they're, you know, putting out their cigarette. Like, you know how our main sensei, he was sitting there smoking a cigarette. If you watch his hand movements, like, he's putting out his ash in the ashtray, and you also see to where that one dude, he's holding, like, a cup of coffee, he's just moving the cup around, which just goes to show you body movements. So, I gotta give props to A1 Pictures for adding in body movements that really give life to these characters that normal anime don't do, because when you think about normal anime, you have it to where characters are walking and all that, and they don't really take the time to, like, show body movements like head tilting and stuff. Like, well, Shaft does that, but you get the point I'm getting at. Like, you know, they don't take the time to have the characters, like, body move, along with each individual parts of their body move in different locations, while it is a still frame at that. Because there was a lot of scenes in this episode that was a still frame, but not a still frame, if you get my point. It's where it was a still frame, but there were some parts of it that were actually moving that made it look like the characters had life to them, and it really made the overall interaction and enjoyability of those scenes a whole lot better and immersive, because when you think about still frames, usually they're just boring, like, they're just trying to cut some things so they can have budget, and that stuff happens a lot, and seeing how they were willing to go that extra step, it's something I haven't seen from A1 in quite a while. So props A1 for doing a good job with this episode. Now, it just all comes down to where they take the story and what the concrete plot will exactly be about. One thing I want to mention before I end my review of episode 2 of The Perfect Insider, it is also implied that the girl, Magata, if she is an AI or not an AI, we don't really know, but it's implied that she had some form of sexual relationship with her uncle. Yeah, just take a few moments to process that. So, I'm going to leave it there. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.